So, there is a specific reason that I've stopped uploading recently. Many, in fact. The first one is, well, Sugarbombed isn't really a thing anymore. Most people from the site after its closure have moved on, and personally I don't really see the possibility of it coming back after all this time. It's a mini chapter of my life that I'll probably never forget. It gave me a place to discuss games and tap into an interest in writing that I've never felt before. And what better game to discuss and write about, I thought, than Fallout. And for a while it worked. Fallout is a game with a rich history, both in-game and metagame. It's a game that has been touched by more than a few developers, all with different views on what Fallout is. One specific view being the one I strongly lean towards. However, if you've been following this channel or me at all, you should know all about that. I wanted to do one last video, at least on the subject of Fallout as a series. There are still many other RPGs to talk about. The last video I did was part 1 of a Fallout setting dissection, basically a deeper look into what makes Fallout's world thematically cohesive in ways that other sets of lore for other franchises don't. I've had both parts written and most of part 2 recorded, but I have no will to finish it. This is mostly because of, well, the fact that most of what I have to say has already been said on this very channel or by other people. It's a recollection of events of Fallout's rendition of a post-apocalypse, the societies that came after and how they modeled humanity's problem, something the villain of the original game tried to eradicate, blah blah blah. I've said it all before, and if I didn't, someone has. For this video, I simply want to get my final word in on Fallout. Not any specific game or the thematic magic behind it, or even which company I prefer, the latter being something I find stupid to argue about now. My fanboyistic attachment to Obsidian Entertainment, for example, has slowly withered away these past few months. Yeah, sure, they made my second favorite game on the planet, but most of the people behind that masterpiece have gone on to other companies and will probably never touch the franchise again. John Gonzalez and Chris Avellone, to name a few important people behind New Vegas' design. The only people left include Josh Sawyer, who primarily works on Pillars of Eternity, an alright game with severe balance favor over fun gameplay. It certainly doesn't top any charts for good RPGs, but it was a project that solidified my belief that there is still a mass of people who still crave excellently crafted role-playing experiences. However, with Chris Avellone gone, I'm a bit worried about the quality of its sequel. Then you have Tim Kaine and Leonard Boyarsky, who both work on a secret project together. However, since a recent reboot presentation of his where he describes that he's getting rid of numbers that are so complex in favor of geometric shapes to represent your character's attributes, I don't know. At this point, Tim isn't far from being just an old figure basking in old glory, searching far and wide to create the new, innovative thing of today, but missing the point of it all by a long shot. In short, Obsidian isn't the beauty and magnum opus of RPG development that I always assumed they were, and definitely not now. Who knows, maybe Tim Kaine and Leonard have one more in them, maybe something that can reach or even top the original Fallout or Arcanum, but those chances are very, very slim. And then you have Bethesda, a company that is obsessed with squeezing every last commercial ounce of a 6-year-old game's success, and holding a franchise hostage for so long that many people by now have lost hope. I've stated my piece for Fallout 4 many times. It wasn't the game I had waited 5 years for at that point. No matter how many times the game's catchphrase, "Welcome home," was pushed into my face, I never quite felt the sense of being in a world that made any sense, or being part of a plot that unfolded by my own doing in my own journey, not by a missing family member that I was all but forced to track. I never felt any attachment or camaraderie with my companions I had gathered along the way. Oh God, how plastic and by the numbers they were. I never felt a slowly amassing weight of the world attached to my shoulders as I uncovered the plots of a mysterious antagonistic force or an enigmatic visionary. The stakes always seemed so close to the ground and unimportant. Sorry, I said I wouldn't do that. New Vegas was my first experience with a Fallout game near the core region, developed by many of the series' original designers. It provided a rich experience in post-nuclear politics. I felt like any quest could lead into a larger plot and unearth more of the secrets that lie in the societies inhabiting the Mojave Wasteland. A far cry from my very first Fallout experience in general, Fallout 3, which was mainly focused on providing a power fantasy to those who chose to push past the introduction. From there, I decided to dip my toes into the world of 90s computer role-playing games. I first beat the original Fallout, a wonderfully crafted RPG with many different options for every single quest you undertook, a very grim atmosphere contrasted against a very humorous populace of slags and survivors, and a storyline that you could uncover in a multitude of ways depending on your playstyle and the order in which you tackle objectives and areas, all leading to one of gaming's best pair of villains in terms of sympathy and build-up. Next was Fallout 2, which was really just the first game with a looser plot line, more areas, more quests, and more silliness. And while many harshly criticize the sheer amount of Pulp Fiction and pop culture references, I can't help but break a wide grin at every zinger and knee slapper, no matter how cheesy or ham-fisted. It reminded me of the pure subjectivity of the writers, how they each added to the personality of the game by simply injecting literally their own straight into it. With large corporations pretty much leading the charge in the AAA gaming industry, you don't really see a lot of that very often. From there, I had played so much more of what the CRPG genre had to offer: Planescape Torment, the Baldur's Gate saga, Arcanum, and much more. And after this long-winded journey back in time, I realized firsthand just how poorly all of that is translated to the modern gaming world. Choice and consequence is no longer an asset to verisimilitude. Dialogue choices only serve as a way to gather more information, and fun items, spells, and effects have been replaced with a balanced pool of limited effects and differences. And while this is the problem with modern RPGs in general, I feel that Fallout can be used as a microcosm of this slow change, from the first origin to the gleeful sequel, all the way to its ultimate downfall after one last attempt of a true service to the original work. Well, I hope I have clearly conveyed my reasoning for all but giving up on the Fallout franchise. No matter how many tweets are sent to Bethesda's path, no matter how many low Steam review scores are published, I fear, and ultimately expect, that we will probably never again receive such a rich role-playing experience, filled with characterization, strong thematic undertones, detailed world-building, and the true struggle of humanity's true problem, that of our own destiny to destroy ourselves for the same reasons, over and over again. For me, all that's left of the Fallout franchise are the spoils for a corporation that only wishes to exploit its past success and future growth. And where have we all heard that before? Thank you for watching.
One never changes.